Greetings and konnichiwa, and welcome back to yet another installment of Super Sentai Origins here at the Onyx Tavern, a long-awaited return to the series at that. I'm your host, Rick the Barkeep, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, Raptor. Raptor, bud, how you doing today?
Doing wonderful. I finally get to start my new job tomorrow, get a $12,000 pay bump from what I've been doing, so I am super excited, but also super excited to be back here tonight.
Well, good luck with that new job. I hope it's better than the one that you've had. But until then, I got you, and we're going to be talking about some Dengeki Sentai Changeman.
Yes, or the translation of that, Blitzkrieg Squadron Changeman.
So they could be German Changeman.
Yes, although that could just be an approximation. We're just looking at Ranger Wiki here, so well, that could be anyone's translation.
Well, whatever the translation is, it is Changeman. And Raptor, I want you to go with me here on the first episode that we're going to talk about, called Arrival: The Secret Power. Can you kind of, just let everybody know what happens in this episode? Kind of go point by point for us.
All right. In the grand tradition of early 1970s, 1980s Sentai, ends with a secret military organization with a big exposition dump by the narrator.
As always.
Aliens come across Earth. They decide they want to conquer it. They send down a monster. And the military unit is attacked. And five deserters, I might add, suddenly have powers awakened within them by the Earth Force itself. Apparently the Earth is alive and selected these 5 champions to defend the planet from these aliens.
Which I will also point out was the same plot to Kyryuger, Kyryuger. But then again, yeah, dinosaurs. But yeah, the Earth is alive in Kyryuger, and it saves the world through music and gives power to the dinosaurs and all that good stuff. So, same plot.
Well, in this case, the Earth is alive and gives power through European mythological animals,
which manifests as noxious gas.
Yes, and they also fight off. Along the way, they fight a Venus flytrap monster, a general that looks like Sub-Zero after 2 years without a haircut, and henchmen that look like Mystique, that hatch from eggs.
Yes, and to be honest, Raptor, you've pretty much summed up the entire 22-minute episode, because there's actually a lot going on in this episode. But a lot there's not really a lot because it goes so fast. One of my problems with this episode kind of starting off is it really is too fast. He immediately starts with our heroes in this combat training, and we'll talk about that here in just a second. Then it suddenly shoots to the aliens in space and how they want to go ahead and take over. Then back to our heroes, to the villains attacking, them gaining their powers, learning about the threat, attacking, giant robot fight, the end. That is the flow of things. And we don't get slow down and really see what's happening in the episode.
Yeah, we don't even learn the names of our main characters until past the 20-minute mark.
Absolutely. It's, once they become Changeman, and then or Changeman, however you would say it, and they go back to the base, then we are told who they are. And one of the bigger flaws of the episode, too, is because it moves at such a breakneck pace, we actually don't learn anything about our characters. The only character we get any information on is our Change Griffin character, simply that he wants to pick up chicks. That's the reason he joined the army, and he carries a comb around like a 1950s greaser.
Well, with hair that long, probably needs it.
But but you can see the problem with the episode. That is after watching it like 4 times in preparation for this and writing down the notes, that was the only thing I could go ahead and pick up, and frankly, I understand now why a lot of Sentai and Power Rangers have them in their civilian forms with their designated Ranger colors, because you can tell who they are. And boy, that would have been very helpful in this episode, because everybody's dressed in military fatigues, and if you don't know who you're looking for, you're not going to know what's going on.
Especially the two females, because they both are wearing ponytails in the military hats.
Yeah, and but I think it's a little bit easier because I think they're the only females in this.
Yeah, the only females in the unit, probably. I wasn't looking that closely, but that's entirely possible.
Let's talk a little bit more about this military unit and go into a little bit more depth about what's going on. The intro with our narrator basically says this is the International Earth Defense Force. Now, I find it very interesting that they're called the International Earth Defense Force because, you know, the last time I remember seeing an organization like that was in the Street Fighter movie. And in that movie, the thing was everybody was from a different country. That was the whole point. So somebody explained to me why this International Earth Defense Force is full of Japanese people, and it turns out that our 5 Rangers end up becoming Japanese.
Because Super Sentai is an incredibly ethnocentric show.
To which we've already discussed, but I just wonder why, again, they even bothered to make it international, and they say that in the exposition, but then again, our 5 heroes just happen to be Japanese, and I don't see a single white person.
The entire unit.
Yeah, I don't see a single white person, black person, I don't see anybody other than Japanese in that crowd.
Now, something this is me probably thinking more than the writer actually thought about it. And the writer, by the way, is a Mr. Hirohisa Soda, who was the main writer for every Sentai from Goggle 5 through 5-Man. So he was the main writer on 8 series. But my guess is that maybe it's just a Japanese unit and that there's maybe an American unit, a European unit.
And that's entirely possible. I just wish it was kind of spelled out for us, because it's a little hard when Mr. Soda basically says it's an international unit, but we only see Japanese people. And that's really a minor criticism, to be honest. I really kind of want to break everything down here, much of the way I've been doing on the vlogs, because I think there's a lot we can really say about the Sentai series, and now that we're actually getting into the mid-'80s and they become a little bit more complex, because they're certainly going to get complex once we get to, say, Jetman and Zyuranger, there's just a lot more we can go ahead and say about them.
Yes, now, something that's notable about this one. This is the first Sentai series to use mysticism and magic for a power source.
Absolutely. However, it's also supplemented by military abilities. Because, you know, here's what's actually curious is that they have the morphers on them before they even gain their powers. And it seems to activate with the Earth power to change into the Changeman. And of course, their Zords, their flying base, and all that was already established by the military. So what I kind of like about this is what we had in the first season of Mighty Morphin is a combination of that which is mysticism and that which is technology.
As Linkara often likes to think about the magic versus technology conflict.
Absolutely. And in this case, I would definitely say that the magic is on Changeman's side. There's really nothing particularly supernatural about our villains, but we'll talk about them here in a second. What I would like to go ahead and talk to you about, Raptor, is basically this commander that we have in the episode, and just how, and I'm going to use the term, batshit insane he is in this episode. Because when we get to the beginning of the episode, everybody's training, working hard, doing field exercises, whatever, and he feels the need to fly down in his helicopter and start shooting at everybody as motivation.
Yeah, honestly, what I thought of when I saw this man was he looked like a commander from the pre-World War II Imperial Japanese Army.
Oh, how so exactly?
Just how batshit sadistic and insane he was.
Now, I'm not going to go ahead and claim him as sadistic. Now, the thing is, we only have this first episode to really gauge who he is. But what it seems like to me is that he was very fearful of the alien invasion, specifically this alien invasion by the Star King Bazo and his
Bazoo or something.
Bazoo and the Great Starfleet Gozama. So,
oh no, it's Starfleet. They've gone mad.
Exactly, it's Homefront and Paradise Lost all over again. But what I think is kind of interesting is, like, if we take that into consideration, he's not sadistic. I think he's just panicking, and he's like, they're not getting up to snuff. I have to do something drastic to get these results because, heck, alien invasion.
Well, the fact that the entire unit got up and deserted him, maybe his fears were justified.
Absolutely, and let's talk about this unit because I'm a little skeptical on how good these guys are exactly. Because, all right, so they're the International Defense Force. They're supposed to be possibly the first line of protection for Earth should something happen. Who knows what happened to the previous Sentai? That's not in this continuity, apparently, or however it works. I don't understand why they would allow these people in there because... okay, so change Griffin. I can't pull up his name at the moment. Maybe you can take a look at it. But again, he just joined to impress girls and all that kind of stuff. Is that are we looking at the best of the best, or is this really just some random group of privates and slackers? Maybe.
Okay, his name's Sho.
Sho. Okay.
Yeah, that's. I get the feeling that maybe at least one of the others is a more dutiful soldier.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so he is the one who is introduced second in the roll call.
Yes.
Usually that denotes the second in command.
Yep.
So I would guess based on that Change Dragon, Hiryu, is probably more straight-laced and responsible because the second in command always has to greatly contrast the first in command.
Yeah, you always have that foil in the series, the Han Solo to Luke Skywalker.
Exactly.
And, is it... Now, Change Dragon, didn't he save him from being shot by the commander when he decided to leave? Was that him?
It may have, but...
Again, you really can't tell anybody.
The only one who stands out was Sho.
Yeah, because he had a character trait that was introduced to us. So
characterization, unlike the rest of them.
Which is kind of odd because, what's always interesting about these Sentai series, and you'll see it sometimes at the bottom of the screen, is like they will always end with "to be continued." And I believe this is where they, I think they started it earlier, but it always says "to be continued." Not that the next episode immediately picks up, but as an ongoing serial. But, I just wonder if this...
That's something that is very permeated throughout Japanese... through both tokusatsu and anime alike. Even modern anime will end with that Sudoku sign.
Yeah, but it's not like this is like part one of a two-parter. This is just like the first episode because it's a self-contained story. It's not well told, but again, it is self-contained.
Yes.
Now, before we actually go ahead and talk about the villains, I do want to go ahead and talk about... how they are chosen as Changeman, because Raptor, this both highlights the best part of how I think Ranger teams should be selected, and I think the worst part. They actually kind of combined both of them at the same time. Now, I'm a big fan of the chosen by destiny kind of thing, the thing that we get in Dino Charge, Lost Galaxy, the fact that they're just a bunch of random people together and then fate has chosen them to be the Power Rangers, or in this case, the Sentai. What I don't like is where some individual or military organization decides to pick and choose who they want for this group. And what we have here is a combination of both, because they are part of a military unit who was chosen by our commander, obviously, but fate has chosen them because they were the 5 that survived the onslaught and just happened to be in the right place at the right time. How do you feel about the kind of the way that they were chosen?
Personally, I'm always a fan of the ragtag bunch of misfits that stumble into the power.
Mm-hmm.
And see, that's what I view the Dino Charge Rangers as, for example. I don't quite like how you use the word destiny, because to me that goes more in line with the people that are selected. But anyways, yes, I agree that it's cool that they get the power because they happen to be in the right place and that they're going to have to learn to function as a team. And I don't think it's so much they're selected by the military. They just happen to be in this unit, and that it could have been any 5.
And that's true. I'm just saying that it's kind of a mixture of the both.
Yeah, it is, definitely.
Yeah, because, I mean, look at, let's say, Lightspeed Rescue. I mean, you can argue whether it was destiny or whatever you want to call it, that Carter became the Red Ranger, but the fact is that Captain Mitchell selected him out of probably hundreds of thousands of potential candidates. And I don't usually like that, because I think one of the messages of Super Sentai and Power Rangers is often, anybody with a good heart could actually be a ranger and save the world, but it really takes something away from it when the government is choosing you based on your predetermined set of skills. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, because what that often can do is take away from relatability by having... Because usually, if they're chosen by the government or whatever, it usually means there's some kind of ace, which takes away from relatability, so yes, I agree.
Yeah, and of course, there's always... the thing is, I like Dana Mitchell, but the thing was, she was chosen by her father, and that's a little irksome, you know what I'm saying? But in this particular case, I'm kind of okay with it. It's not that big of a deal, because it's a little bit of both. And... there are worse ways to choose Rangers, I guess.
Yes, of course. Like Gosei's method, whatever that is.
Yeah, just 5 random people. Let's actually go ahead and talk about our villains, because I'm very confused about who they are and their motivations. Basically, we have a bunch of them flying in a spaceship. You really can't tell who is who. We have no idea what these people are. And then suddenly their boss, which takes the form of a giant floating blue guy, I guess, a giant Smurf.
Which is strangely common in the 80s and early 90s Sentai.
And he just says, "Conquer Earth." But why? Just do it, damn it. And then he leaves. That's pretty much the whole conversation.
Now, something else that I appreciated there was there was actually a justification for why to only send down a few monsters or henchmen at a time. The main general proudly boasts that he does not need an army to take the Earth down.
Yes, because the great pirate General Booba is going to do it. With a name like that, you can't fail.
I mean, Pirate General, I don't know. See how well that worked out in Turbo.
I just like the idea that Batman tries to instill fear by the symbol of the bat, and yet we have this guy, his name is Booba. I'm sorry, I can't help but be juvenile in that case. It's just funny. Maybe
it sounds better to a Japanese speaker.
Possibly. Maybe that's the most horrific name they can think of. I don't know. Let's see, Raptor. I have.
Let's continue on these villains.
Yeah, tell me a little bit more about what you think on the villains.
Gyodai is their method for enlarging monsters. So it's not a ray. It's not a ray or a magic spell that enlarges monsters. It's a character that gets sent down to enlarge the monsters. And that thing looked like Clover.
Like from Cloverfield?
Yeah, the Cloverfield monster.
Oh, okay. I'm just wondering if it becomes a plot point later in the series that why don't we just kill this guy and we won't have to have the giant robot fights anymore.
You know, probably not. He probably just gets sent down, spits at the monster, makes it big, and then he takes off. Maybe he gets killed in the last episode, but probably nothing made of it. A cool story point, but that you thought of, but yeah, probably nothing made of it.
Yeah, and then I'd like to know exactly why they want Earth in this particular case. I'm sure that their boss will have something later on. But, usually we have an idea, they're after something, they're after someone. There's usually some sort of explanation to it. But I just like, in a way, how it's...
They just find it.
Yeah, they're just like, their boss is like, here, do it, because I said so. That seems to be all that they need to do it.
Pretty much.
I also want to make one other point right here, Raptor, before we get into some other stuff, is that after you and I did the video on the Sentai military or potential Power Rangers military-based series, a lot of people pointed to Changeman as well as some of the other 80s Sentai about military organizations, and I just want to go ahead and clarify that the Earth Defense Force in this particular series is designed to fight against extraterrestrial menace, whatever that happens to be, because, again, aliens have been established within the Sentai universe. What I was particularly referring to in that video that we discussed at length was human versus human, nations versus other nations.
Earth-based conflicts.
Yeah, against terror organizations. And the thing is, I don't have a problem with the military in this series because, again, it's against the outer space and invasion. But, once the series is over, the question is, what is the Earth Defense Force doing? And we know by the time of Gokaiger that they are still active in some capacity.
Yeah, but those questions are probably never answered or considered.
Possibly. Now, Raptor, what other comments do you want to go ahead and make about Changeman? Anything we haven't discussed as of yet?
I still hate Change Mermaid's suit. It
Really?
does not fit in with the rest of them at all.
The thing is, I actually get mixed up about who's Change Mermaid and Change Phoenix because they are so similar that I have to look at the helmet.
Change Mermaid's costume has those pink accents. I mean, it's a mermaid. Why not make them change Mermaid the blue and have Change Pegasus be something else?
Like a Yellow Ranger.
Exactly.
Which I don't think there was a lot of outcry for no Yellow Ranger in this series as another Sentai series we're familiar with. Yeah,
I just think that it looks terrible. Maybe if the entire team was like that, but I'm looking at this picture of the 5 Changemen. She sticks out like a sore thumb.
It is an odd aesthetic, I think, for the entire team because they are based on animals, but they don't have sculpted animal helmets. We won't get that until later with Live Man, I believe.
But at least 4 of them look like they belong on the same team.
Yeah, but
Mermaid doesn't quite.
Yeah, it's just a little disorienting. But yeah, the only other thing I really have to go ahead and say about the episode is I really think they went too quick, too fast. They really should have paced themselves out. And I do think this series has about 50 or so episodes, so I don't know what the rush was to introduce. I mean, because we got dumped with a lot of information, but not a lot of substance to it. And again, that's the main criticism I have. I don't know what to tell you about the Pink Ranger or the White Ranger or any of those. I don't know anything about them. All I know is that the Black Ranger wants to pick up chicks. That's about it.
But that's something that we've ran into over and over with these early series.
And that's true, and I just wonder why... I wonder when they're really going to go ahead and kind of learn their lesson. When are we going to start getting an episode where we actually learn more about the characters? Because I know a few more Sentai series are upcoming where this is still an issue, and even in a lot of modern-day Sentai, we have that problem as well. So I never understand the rush to throw everything out there to the audience, because you really got to let them assimilate everything.
I know that at least by At least by Jetman, they're finally experimenting with two-parter openers. But maybe a series prior to Jetman does it, but up until now, yeah, they're just like, get out.
Absolutely. But I mean, I have to admit, I really enjoyed the episode. I thought it was fun. I mean, it's been a while since you and I have actually watched any of the older Sentais. I mean, I've been preoccupied with Zoo Ranger since I got it on DVD, and of course now we have Ninja out to go ahead and watch.
Yeah, you keep pumping those vlogs out. You're keeping up. Good job.
I'm hoping I can finish Tokuger, though.
Well, good luck with that.
Yes. Okay, Raptor, I think we've said about everything there is to say about Changeman, so any final thoughts, any closing arguments?
To be honest, doesn't look like something I want to watch more of. Nothing really stood out to me compared to these other early Sentais that we've watched. Who knows? If there are any viewers listening to this who have watched more of Changeman and think I'm missing something, let us know.
All right. Well, Raptor, I want to thank you for joining me here again. It's been long overdue doing this episode. I hope we get to at least get to a couple more Sentai before, before whenever.
Well, I've got a much easier work schedule now, so I think that's workable.
All right, great. Well, in that case, Raptor, again, thank you for joining us, and thank you, patrons, for watching. Next time, when we come back, we will be covering the first episode of Flashman. So until then, thank you, have a good evening, and the tavern is now closed.